Hi teachers, this is lesson 1.3, so unit 3, week 1, lesson 3 of the middle school ENL standalone curriculum. Still covering the essential question, how do economic conditions affect our community? So for today, students will continue with the same type of opening do now routine, a see, think, wonder about the image. Then you will lead them through a listen, read, discuss activity. So you'll share some background with them, maybe help them to read this little passage, and then you will have a class discussion about these two questions right here. Once you set the purpose for the reading, your students will jump into the reading and discussion questions. Then we return to the New York City Community Health Profiles. So today, looking at high school graduation. This is a writing activity, so students will write in response to these questions. The reason I say it's probably the best idea to assign this presentation as the student's assignment today is because there's a slide right here where students can type. All of the resources that have been created for videos, including this presentation, are available in the video adapted resources folder for this unit on TeachHub. So they can complete their writing over here. Next is the closing and connecting. So extend the learning is a must because they'll need it for day 5. But you can add in any other questions that you'd like your students to answer from Check for Understanding, write your thoughts, or connect to the topic. Lastly, you'll see a teacher model of the closing and connecting right here that can help students in writing their own response. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so week 1, the Rogoshevsky family, day 3. So our essential question is, how do economic conditions affect our community? Today, we will be reading a text on the strike of 1909. That's an informational text. Students, if I can get your help reading the lesson objectives, if someone can read those out loud. Awesome. To analyze the development of the central idea or theme in a text, and to express ideas clearly with peers, building on the ideas of others. All right. So, first thing that we are going to do, we are looking at this photo right here of these two people. So go ahead and take a moment, wherever your teacher would like you to collect your answers, write down something you see, something you think, something you wonder. There's some sentence starters right here to get you started. Go ahead and pause the video now and meet me back here when you're done. All right, moving on. So now you're going to work with your teacher and your classmates on this discussion. So during the last lesson, we read about the difficult working conditions in Bessie's garment factory. So today we're going to read from a collective response from these workers, a strike. So I'm going to read this part right here out loud if you want to read along with me. About 20,000 women, all shirtwaist workers, decided to strike. Instead of going inside to work, they made a list of demands for the factory owners and said they would not come to work until their demands were met. All right, now it's your turn to discuss with your class. So there's 2 questions right there. So you can see them right here, 1 and 2. How would you feel if you were one of the young women on strike? How do you think the factory owners are going to respond to the strike? So read this again to yourself if you need to, and go ahead and pause the video now so you can discuss with your class. All right, so setting the purpose for our reading, we're going to read about the experiences of the garment factory workers who went on strike in 1909. As we read, we're going to try to find the main reasons why they went on strike. All right, so as always, there is a recording of the text linked in the presentation, and the text is also linked right here. So wherever your teacher has this reading posted, or if you're going to do it together with your class, please pause the video here to complete the reading, the guiding questions in the text, and finally the discussion questions. So meet me back here when you are done with the reading and the reading tasks. All right, welcome back. So I'm sure that we learned a lot about what strikes are and why workers would go on strike. Now we're going to go back to the community health profiles. So like so many of the striking garment workers, Bessie Rogoshevsky was just a teenager and did not have the chance to go to school. Studies show that graduating from high school and college can have significant impacts on a person's potential wages and overall health outcomes. So we're going to take a look at some data related to that today. So I'm going to move this back up here. All right, so we have this chart here. So this says highest level of education achieved. So we're comparing the Lower East Side and Chinatown, and there's also data for Manhattan, data for New York City, and data for the highest percentage of college graduate area. So we have 3 questions that we're going to answer. The first being 19% of New Yorkers have not graduated from high school. Does that surprise you? So this here that says less than high school, that means that that percentage of people in that area did not graduate from high school. And then we have high school graduate or some college, and then college graduate. So those are my 3 columns that I'm looking at. So the first one is asking if that 19% that has not graduated from high school surprises you. The second one, how does the Lower East Side's college rate compare to the citywide rate? So we'd be comparing this up here with this blue one down here for New York City. And in your opinion, how could New York City help more people graduate from high school and college? So that would be your opinion. So the first 2, you're going to be looking at the graph. The last one would be your opinion. Okay. All right, so this slide right here is a place where you can write your answers to questions 1, 2, and 3. If you need to go back to the chart, it is right there on the previous slide. Go ahead and pause the video now to write your answers to questions 1, 2, and 3. All right. So to finish off our lesson today, your teacher may ask you to answer any one of these in the blue, yellow, or gray boxes, but together we're going to look at what's here in the green box. So extend the learning. So we're going to go back to the New York City Community Health Profile for where our school is located. And then we're going to look at how does the college graduate rate in our community, so our school community, compared to the Lower East Side and Chinatown. So go ahead and take a moment to find your community in the Community Health Profile that you used in lessons 1.1 and 1.2. So you can click that link right there if you need help, that link in the blue. So pause the video, find that Community Health Profile, and come right back when you found it. All right, now I'm going to show you my model, looking for the community that I'm looking at. So how does the college graduate rate in your community compare to the Lower East Side and Chinatown? So just to remind myself, I wrote down that the Lower East Side and Chinatown has a rate of 48%. And then I screenshotted the data, the same chart that was there before. So the neighborhood that I'm looking at is Central Harlem. So I can see here the same 3 columns, less than high school graduate or some college, and college graduate. And then I'm going to compare the college graduate rate with the Lower East Side and Chinatown. So this is on page 6 of the Community Health Profile. So you can scroll down to page 6 if you're having trouble finding it, or you can Control F or Command F. Command F if you're using a Mac, Control F if you're using a PC, and type in college and you should be able to find it. So I'm circling what I need to know here. So this is the Central Harlem data, and I'm comparing it to that Lower East Side and Chinatown college graduation rate. So then the last thing I do is I'm going to write a sentence. So the college graduate rate in Central Harlem is 42% compared to the Lower East Side and Chinatown, where the rate is 48%. So I hope this model was helpful. You can use the sentence stem and put in your community instead of Central Harlem and the percent that's required instead for your community. So that's right here. All right, great job with today's lesson, and we'll see you again for the next one.